Recording has started.
Okay. Holly, see if you can check with Claudia again.
Yeah, I will.
Who's going to join us. So thanks for joining us, guys. We have exciting session today. How to work with buyers. Here's Claudia again. We have Claudia Ilcken, Claudia from the Long Beach office, and we have Santiago Cortez from the Long Beach office, and we have Nidya, Anaya from the Calabasas office. Hey guys,
Hello.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Making sure that you're there. So we really want to talk about today on the buyer side, the buyer elements of how you do things, how we do things, and what kind of objections you're running into, success stories, scripts, how you show properties. I can continue on and on and on. And you know, the idea is really to share what's working for you, what's not working for you, if you may. I bet that some people are gonna share some questions. Whoever's watching, we have more and more people right now jumping on the live broadcast as well. And you guys been rocking throughout this pandemic, even before, but mostly during. And what we're going through, so it's gonna be kind of cool to see different areas, different objections and whatever. So go for it. Feel free to just speak up and ask questions one another. We'd love to get this show going.
All right. Well, thanks, Meny. Santiago, you look like you had a thought there. Here.
Go for it, Claudia.
Okay. Well, I have to say one of the first things that I do is I have a belief that there is enough business for everyone, and even during this time that my business is going to flourish. And so every day, I start my morning with meditation. And I've told a couple of people that I've been doing this meditation with Synctuition, this app that I absolutely love. It's about 25 minutes, and so I do that in the morning and before I go to bed. And that kind of helps to center me for my day and just kind of get me going with a good frame of mind and just coming from a place of gratitude, and especially really coming from a place that, okay, all my needs are being met. And so when I have that feeling, that belief that all my needs are being met, because especially you can feel anxious when you're working on commission and during this time. And so I need to really center myself there. The other thing is that I have to believe is that I need to service my clients, that my clients come number one. And because of that attitude, I believe it's really helping when I'm working with my clients, that they see that I really, really want to help. And so I'm so grateful this month. I have 2 escrows going. I wrote up an offer yesterday, and I'm writing up another offer today. And
Are those all buyers, Claudia?
Yeah, all buyers. Yeah, so I have 2 that are closing this month, and I'm waiting for an answer on another offer that I wrote over the weekend, and then I'm preparing another offer later on today. 3 of them are Op City, and 1 is from another referral that I received. So very happy, very excited. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for
you.
sharing that.
Yeah.
Santiago, you're in the middle of my screen, so you go next.
Okay, I'll go next. My philosophy is no fear. I was brought up and originally trained as a buyer's agent. And one of the things that I learned early on is even if you have no clients, when you first start working with them, if you're hungry for that first deal, they will smell it like sharks smell blood in the water, and they will run. And you have to not need that first deal for them to want to work with you. And I've kept that with me from that point forward. And now during coronavirus, where sometimes an agent will be tempted to fear that he's going to lose business, that's the last thing to do. What you need to do instead of fearing is turn that into helping. You need to help that client because your client is fearful. Your client is fearful that he doesn't know if prices are going to go down in 2 months, so he's going to overpay now. That's what everybody's thinking, and yet we're not seeing prices going down very much at all. He's going to be fearful that the loan may not happen, or how is he going to get into the house, or will he get sick? There are all these fears out there that keep people from doing things. As an agent, I fear nothing. And the first thing that happened after the shutdown happened, and I'm a Long Beach agent, but I took a listing in the city of LA in San Pedro on April 8th, and I'm closing this Friday. And what I did is I took my listing in San Pedro and I immediately put up very strict restrictions on showings. And I told the agents that they couldn't show it unless they had the disinfectant, unless they had a mask. And they sent in a PEAD, and there was going to be no for sale sign in front of the house because I didn't want the neighbors reporting them, and they had to be separated by 3 hours. And I had showings every 3 hours, and my offer came in the next day, and we accepted the day after that, and then we got multiple offers, and we accepted at well over the asking price. And my sellers were scared to death that they weren't even going to sell the house. Yeah. And from that, I picked up buyers, and now I'm showing. And the whole point is when you go in with confidence and you know what you're doing, you're going to do it. And so now I'm showing properties, and I'm showing that same respect to the listing agents, where when I ask to show a property, I tell them ahead of time, I will be in full compliance with the COVID guidelines because I want to protect your liability and I want to protect the lives of my clients, and I don't want to spread this disease to anyone. And immediately when they know that you care about them, then they care about you and your opinion about them.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you.
And you know, you have to remember that follow the guidelines. It's not just because you've been told by CR or there's a new form or the broker told you or whatever. It's really your interest to protect the service, which should probably come before serve the public, right? You have to protect your consumers and the public. And so thank you for doing it, and like be on just top of your game, because it's not just about, you know, people going to report you or whatever. Is really to do the right thing right now under those circumstances, right?
It is. I don't want dead clients, and I don't want their relatives to get sick.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Santiago. Nidya.
Hey, well, I've been working with buyers most of the time. Right now, I have 3 transactions going on. Out of the 3, 2 are buyers, and on one, I'm representing the buyer and the seller. So on that one, it's kind of like tricky because the buyer, it's 2 buyers going for the property. It's 2 brothers, but one of them was laid off. So we thought it was going to be, you know, kind of like, oh, you know, we're going to lose this transaction. But we didn't. I mean, just this morning, I got a call from the lender that we're waiting for loan docs, probably today or tomorrow morning.
Nice.
So we were able to save that one. And but we need to keep on going. And in order for me to do that, I have to, I've been busy on social media. I've been really busy on Facebook. If, I don't know, like most of you guys have me on Facebook, if I don't put my first post on Facebook, that good morning post, I feel that I didn't start my job. Because most of the people answering, you know, nowadays are the people who are staying home, the people who are sometimes by themselves. And we are the only people who are in contact with them through Facebook, through Instagram. So they kind of like feel, you know, that someone is there with them. And like, I don't know, it's kind of like nice and weird at the same time that people that I haven't talked to and I just have them on Facebook, and I reached to them the first time I add them on Facebook, like, oh, hey, this is what I do. How can I help you? But I never got an answer. Now that they see me because they have the time, they've been reaching out to me through Messenger, you know, like asking questions. What do you think of the market? Should I wait until the market crash. I was like, unless you have cash to buy when the market crash, then I'll suggest for you to wait. But if you don't, I'm like, this is the good time for you to buy. Why? I'm gonna give you two reasons. Because most of the sellers are really motivated to sell, and second, because the low interest rates. Like if you have enough money for your down payment, I can get the seller to pay for your closing costs. And if you still have a job or you're like not working, but you're still going back to work when everything's done, I'm like, this is the time for you to buy. So I did got one of them to get pre-qualified. So she's already qualified, but we haven't been able to find the house she wants for the price she qualified for. So, and another way for me to be reaching out to buyers, I've been using postcards. Well, not postcards, like greeting cards. I designed them on my own. And then it was a vendor that went to one of the meetings, I think AM cards. So I never used them, and I just kept on going with the membership. And I only use them when I close a transaction or to wish someone a happy birthday. But now that I have like probably, I don't know, $700 credit, and it's only $2 for each card.
Those are handwritten notes.
Yeah. So I've been using those to send to my past clients, future clients, like to everyone on my sphere. And that's money that I already have there. I don't have to put anything out of my pocket right now, because all the meetings that we've been having, they're also telling us to cut on our budgets, save some money. So that's part of my my budgeting. I mean, I have the money there, so I'm using it.
Yeah, and you touch in so many different subjects, right?
Yeah.
So thank you. This is great because it's opened the conversation to different directions for everybody. And I see Santiago already preparing the question that you want to ask you, But number one is use of social media, right? And, all of you active as well. Whoever's watching too, we all of us are active to a certain extent. So I would love to hear more from all of you if you are utilizing that and to what extent. Also, mostly engagement, because we know that today more than ever before, people are on their devices. If it's a laptop, or the actual cell phone, iPad, whatever it is. So it's easier to get their attention, right? And secondly, on the other end, what we can touch is how do you engage in different ways. And what you mentioned, Nidya, is good, because think about what you're getting via mail, right? So is that the small discount magazines, local magazines from the like whatever markets, right? Bills, right? Or a note that says like, hey, I'm thinking about you, whatever. So those are all
And
good.
you know
good
what?
things.
The greeting cards have been touching people, because most of the people sometimes are not married. They don't have family living with them, and they're just by themselves. So I've been noticing that though that I guess the persons who are living by themselves are the ones reaching out to me. Oh, thank you so much for this card. It makes me feel so good. Or, thank you for thinking of me. And that's when I start getting the conversation going. Oh, how's your job? How's everything? I mean, it's endless what you can do with the card.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
Santiago, how are you engaging? Or I'm not sure if you have a question.
No contribution. For me, it's a time-proven tactic that I learned from Gary Keller years ago on his 33 touch, now 38, I guess, someday 40 something. And that is, I use Buffini's newsletters, and I send them out 12 times a year. They're the nicest. They're 4-color slick, 2-sided, and I send those out 12 times a year. And then that's the beginning of the month. And then on the 15th of the month, I send out an emailed newsletter, and I use a company called Exact, IXACT. And the reason I use them, they're out of Toronto, is because it's hardcore real estate news. It's not recipes, which is not my style, and it's not funny stories. It's actual real estate news, like how to improve your home, how to fix this, curb appeal, things like that. And the way I got my clients to accept it, because I don't want unwanted emails going out because people don't read them, is I say, I have this new email newsletter and I want you to tell me what you think of it. Would you like to receive it and give me your feedback? And they always say yes to something like that. And that's how I got them to do it. And so then I just keep sending it out unless they tell me not to. And that's what I do. And then the other thing I do, and this is back to what you do, Nidya, is I do the handwritten cards, and I do it for the anniversary of a closed escrow. About 80% of my business is referral based on past clients. I've been in the business 13 years this month. And so I always do the anniversary of a closed escrow. And what I'll do is I'll look up the value of the property to show them how much equity they now have in the property. Everybody loves that information. Or I'll do a birthday, and I'm remiss on this. I'm now looking up kids. And I didn't do that in the beginning, and I'll do a kid's birthday because the way to a parent's heart is through their child.
Can you repeat what you just said for a second? Because it's very smart, and what a lot of agents don't understand, if they're new or even if they've been many years in the business, right? And that's the difference between chasing deals and have deals chasing you. What I heard you saying, Santiago, is that you dedicating a lot of time purposefully to cultivate your past clients, which
Definitely.
which is a big deal because those are repeat clients, right? And you've been 13 years in the business, so those are like repeat business and sphere and referrals and whatever. You said, and I just want to repeat that because I think it's super powerful, that when you send those greeting cards or anniversary notes once a year, you also mention in what again?
What I mentioned in there is the value of their property since they bought it, how much it's gone up, because here in coastal California, it doesn't go down. Mm-hmm. And so everybody wants to know what their property's worth. And so I say, what's your property is now worth this. It was worth that when you bought it. Congratulations. And that's all I put in there.
And think about this, okay? By the way, this is beautiful. Congrats. It's brilliant, simple and brilliant. Because how many times are you getting, or did you get, letter and email from I don't know, your 401k or from your stock that you invested or whatever it is, or from other agents that telling you, from your advisor, whatever that is, that told you, oh, by the way, your asset worth right now increased by such and such dollars. Nobody does it, right?
No.
And look right now what happened, almost 2 months ago, month and a half ago, what have you, right? Stock market plunged down, right? 20, 30%. It's going to come back, but still, people, whoever sold lost money. If you didn't sell, didn't lose money. But the face value dropped significantly, right? So here, you're sending this letter and say, hey, congrats, while the world is changing, you're still on top of your game. Real estate, that's the game.
Meny, I look at it this way. I cannot stand cold calling and door knocking. It's so much easier to get referrals. Those are warm calls.
Exactly, yeah.
One of the things too that I've been doing, Meny, is just like a little quick video saying hello, like just myself. Oh, I was just thinking about you today, and
can you do one right now for us?
Say that again.
Can you do one right now for us, like you're doing a video right now? Can you do it?
Oh, okay. Well, hello everyone, or hello Meny. This is Claudia. I was just thinking about you today, especially with everything that's going on. I just wanted to know how you're doing, how's your family, and just let you know I'm here if you need me. And that's it. Just real simple. And and sometimes I'll bring in my sweetheart and say, hey, we're just thinking about you. How are you enjoying your home? And they're like, oh my God, Claudia, that's so cute. And so it's just
Are
Yeah.
you sending like a text message,
Yeah, like
or
a text, because you could do like a really quick, video, upload it and send it that way, or you could do it through Messenger, like the
the Facebook
Facebook
Messenger?
Messenger. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could just do it like that. So I've done, those kinds of videos. Today, I haven't finished doing that, but I'm kind of goofy if anybody knows me. So Santiago. But I love Star Wars, and so I haven't done my Star Wars one yet, but I'm thinking of May the Fourth be with you. So yeah, so that'll be
You have to send
one
me
of
one for
my
sure. I
my
want to get one of
quirky
those.
my quirky ones. Yeah, but I think people just like to know that you're thinking of them. I did start doing some postcards, and it's so hysterical. One of my past clients, I sent her a card and just letting her know I was thinking of her, and she was like, "Oh my God, Claudia, I was so afraid that, are you okay? Are you, are you, she was like, maybe she's dying or something." And so it kind of cracked me up because of the response that I got. Like, she was so shocked to get a card. So, anyways, it's
Yeah.
I think it's good to just reach out to people, let them know, especially now we have some time to just get on the phone. Although I really don't have as much time I'm actually very busy. So
Yeah, and tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo, right? That's another,
yes,
like, you can reach out like with whatever, just to,
yeah,
like the good news, right?
right.
One thing I did notice, by the way, just to mention, not sure what your thoughts about that, right? Everybody got their own, like, what you like, what you don't like. But when I get like a random message from someone who like forward me, sometimes people like forwarding those messages, like on
Hmm.
Facebook Messenger or whatever it is. I'm not a big fan of those things. Like if it comes like a direct thing, it's more like then I have obligation to read it, right? If it's gonna say, gonna send me a text and say, "Hey, Meny, check this out. I think it's funny, and I was thinking about you."
Hmm.
Right? Then I have obligation to check what this thing is, basically. So make it personal, like
Yeah,
you did, Nadia.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
smile. Don't forget to smile.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where Claudia wins because she had this big smile, and it's kind of like forcing you to smile. So
Yeah, yeah.
all of you do actually. So that's awesome. Um, what else? What else can you share in the engagement of the day to day or what have you? How you reach out to your people, buyers
Don't
mostly.
forget pets.
Hmm.
Sometimes people don't have kids, but they do have pets.
Hmm.
So if you care about them and you care about, how's
So
I
true.
don't know, your dog doing, your cat, just to start up a conversation.
Good point. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Something else that's really important. I belong to an accountability group of 4 people, and the one thing we've been discussing since shutdown started is not to be hardcore real estate, but to call and check in on our sphere just to see how they're doing as human beings, and to just let them know that we're here as people who care about them. They already know we're realtors. And that has actually given us business. And our point was do you need groceries? Are you an elderly person? Are you afraid to go out?
Huge point for sure. We call this the I care calls, right?
Yeah.
You just pick up the phone and just really just check in on people. And good point to mention, Santiago, is the fact that you're realtors. You always want to mention something about that, of course, right? They're going to ask you, how are you doing? Well, I'm doing actually pretty good. I'm super busy with my showings, my this, my that, whatever. But it's really important to make sure, and I think that's where you thrive, where we thrive, that we are a resource,
Yeah.
right? We are a
Mhm.
massive, huge resource. And I'm waiting to get back, for example, from the concierge, from our KW concierge stats. how many agents in our group, we have 14 offices, it's a massive group. How many people utilize the decontamination service? It's for homeowners, not just for sellers, right? And now they're offering another service that it's called Refresher, that you can put their advisors with the homeowner. By the way, it can be even a renter if they want to do anything in the house, and they're going to give him free consultation of do it yourself. And gonna even give him like directions. This one you can get from Home Depot. This one from here. This one from there. And of course, if they need to do actual job, the concierge can do it for them as well, right? So a lot of people in our group did utilize that to show resource. But like you mentioned, Santiago, is I know the person who can do this for you, that for you, whatever, right? Yeah. Did you have any Nidya, you kind of touched on that just a little bit, when it comes to objections professionally about, like, hey, should I buy right now? Shouldn't buy right now? Or people that, try to back out of a deal for whatever reason, maybe financial, maybe emotional, different things. Can you share a little bit about that?
Are you asking me?
All of you. I'm just looking at you.
We close excuse me, sorry. We closed one where what was it? I think it was last month that we closed on one where we were about to sign loan docs, and it was a Friday. The buyer called and he's like, I don't want to buy no more. I just got laid off. And so we were like, why don't you come in on Monday and we talk about it? Just calm down, relax this weekend, don't think about it. Let's meet up on Monday and we'll see what we can do. Because I'm like, I already got you closing costs. I'm like, we were able to reduce the price. And like, we did so much for you to become a homeowner, for your new family, for your baby. I'm like, I don't think you're gonna get that chance again, after this. So let's try and see, how can we help you in order for you to be able to keep this house. So we met on Monday, and thank God, he's like, I went back to work. I'm like, okay, great. So you're not losing your job? He's like, no. He's like, I got scared because my boss sent me a text saying that not to come into work. So, but he's back. He was back to work, but he was worried for the future. What if I lose my job? And then that's when I tell him, oh, don't worry about it. I'm like, nowadays the government is coming out with giving homeowners a chance to probably not pay a month or 2 months, but then they're gonna work out with you in order for you to pay your mortgage. It's like, okay.
I love the fact that if you notice, and it's similar to all of you, you have the ability, and it's a skill to bring comfort.
Yeah.
Right. Not to drive right away to the conclusion that it's the end of the world. And pull the trigger right away. It's like, hey, I understand. I feel for you. Calm down. Let's talk about it for a second. Let's understand what's the right decision. Because you can easily pull the trigger, cancel, or go to this whole adventure, and then the seller on the other side, and emotions and whatever it is, right? So, very nice. Good job on that.
No, I have a client. He works for Warner Media. And Warner, I'm sorry, he works for a competing company, and Warner Media just took it over. And he was just about to purchase, and he has 60 days to prove his job or he loses his job. And so in his case, we talked it over, and he's very analytical, and we just decided to wait 2 months because he wants to see if he has a job or not. And I told him it's perfectly fine, and I supported it. And what that's going to mean for us is that we are going to have a home purchase, and he feels supported by us. And I felt that was the best direction to take with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's so important that you listen to your clients and that you really convey uh, that you care about what they're going through. And so that's, all in that rapport building that is so necessary, especially now, like showing that very human side. In April, I had 3 escrows going, and 2 of them fell out. One, my client lost a lot of money in the stock market, and then another one, it was just because of what happened during the inspection. And then I was left with 1 escrow. And then what happened is, because I was there listening to my client and really understanding some of the fears that they had, we were able to continue our conversations and really look at, okay, well, what's really happening right now? So many of what I found is so many buyers are thinking that this is like 2008. And so they're thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to see so many foreclosures. We're going to see, and they're going to be able to have a better time when the prices of the homes are going to drop. And it's so important to really stay connected with what's really happening so that you can provide them with what leading economists are saying about this specific time, that it is different from what happened in 2008, that there is a supply and demand issue. And so, being the voice of reason and helping people to see that, no, this is not like 2008 when people were, able to buy a home, if they had a pulse. Basically, it's like, there's a lot of equity, that over 50% of homes that are owned nationwide are owned, have at least 50% equity. And so people are not willing to walk away from that kind of equity in their home. So it's like when you start sharing the facts about what is the situation today as opposed to what it was in 2008. And then also I find, like, letting my buyers know that, hey, let me tell you, what's great about buying now is that there's less competition. Please understand, there is a supply and demand issue, especially here in California. And Governor Newsom had said, hey, I want more homes to be built in order to deal with the issue, right? And so when people do get back to working, then how is that going to affect the market? It's just going to be more competition. So if you are in a position to buy right now, this is the time to do it. And that's what leading economists are saying, that, it's going to be bad for leisure. And so I think it's so important that we as realtors not only listen to our clients' fears, right, but then be able to be that resource for them so that we can be the voice of reason as to what's happening. We can help to allay their fears. And that's the part, I think, that has been really helping me as a buyer's agent, through this process.
And one thing I want to mention a few things. I mean, good point. Thank you. And kind of like we deviated to a more professional conversation about stats and legality or whatever. I just shared both on the feed over here on the chat and also on the whoever's watching on Facebook Live a link to our friend, the chief economist of NAR, Dr. Yoon. Right, once a month, he's Dr. Yoon and his department are sending this or publishing this report of the housing market. So now, when we had the interview with him about a month ago, home prices were down by, was like, 4 or 5%, something like that, right? Sorry, not the prices, the sales. Now they dropped by 8.5%, right? I think it's almost doubled or so from last time or what have you. What is my point? That's a topic. You need to educate yourself that to like you mentioned, there's more for less right now, right? It's not just because the inventory dropped as well. It's all relative, but also like there's less people that were trying to buy, right? It depends on the price point as well. So I'm not making a statement. At the same time, make sure to do 2 things on a daily basis. Number 1 is educate yourself. I'll make one on what you said, Claudia. Thank you. Be a professional. And number 2, don't make assumption and don't go to an area that you shouldn't talk about, right? Now, if you're an attorney, or if you're a CPA, or if you're whatever, then maybe you can expand on those areas, even though I'll be very cautious, because when you wear the realtor hat, very cautious. For example, and you can like touch on that Nidya, but I know that it's not really what you meant by saying that. Don't tell a clientele, hey, don't you worry, you're not going to pay mortgage right now for 3 months, right? I mean,
Right.
you can share with them that they need to check with their soon-to-be lender if there is any forbearances options that they're going to offer, because it's not mandatory. They can offer it. They don't have to, right? But then also explain to them how it might affect. But you don't even go there. Just tell them, hey, this is something that you want to check with your whatever, right? Because you don't know if the mortgage, their lender is going to flip the note after 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, and going to sell it to the secondary market. Right now with the forbearances right now, it's such a big mess. It doesn't even worth for the for those lenders to sell this to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, at all. It's crazy. So we don't know, and don't go there. Be very cautious in what you say, but at the same time, definitely be a specialist and seize the moment. And I love these conversations because is this a good time to buy, right? Let's say it's a renter. Well, you can ask, how long you've been renting? For 10 years. When you first rented, how much did you pay? How much you paying right now, right? Versus if you buy the property 10 years ago and that's your mortgage, how much your mortgage right now? Pretty much the same, maybe even less if you refinance and you drop the rate. And you have equity and you get those notes from Santiago once a year that, hey, man, you just got wealthier by X amount of dollars, right? So educate them as a professional on a level of how would you want to be treated as well? And how would you like to be spoken to? And what kind of advice you want to get, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. What else? I'm checking to see if there are any questions over here as well. Form-wise, we did just to mention, they keep changing someone in CR is waking up in the morning and say, I have to change one of the forms today. Like it doesn't feel right. In 2 days we didn't change anything, whatever. Let's change the car forms today. So we sent a couple of days ago an email with the recent changes. So just be aware of that. Those 3 changes. Sorry,
right,
3
to
changes,
the
three forms. Yeah, but make sure that if you're an agent, I'm just answering a couple of those questions right now, really quickly. If you're an agent and you want to show a property, make sure to send the most recently revised form. The last revision was April 30th. And make sure that you also sign this yourself, meaning you need to sign the PID for yourself as well, right?
Right.
Just as a
One
side
of the other things too, Meny, that I'm doing is there's the hold harmless document that we received, because we don't know whether or not we could be asymptomatic, right, with this COVID. So that's another thing too that I've been having my clients sign along with it, is that if I'm going to, show them any property, that we're taking every precaution, but, we don't know completely, we're doing our best as far as sanitation is concerned, right? So I am having them complete that hold harmless in addition to the PED document. And I think there's something to be said with having these documents sent to the clients, because they're really seeing the professionalism of us, and really explaining, like, what are the steps, what are we doing as far as keeping them safe and keeping ourselves safe, because we want to be able to go to our families. We want to come home and not bring, this unseen enemy with us. So I think that that's having a great effect as well, because clients are seeing us on another level with the kind of professionalism that's involved with, showing them a home. And I think it also helps with a certain kind of commitment when we are having them sign these type of documents, that there is something, oh, I signed this with my buyer's agent, right? So here's a piece of legal documentation, that we have a deeper relationship, as it were, that it's, yeah. So, do you
You
find
know
that
what?
too, Santiago?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, Claudia. I think when they sign something like that, it shows they're not a looky-loo, that they're probably a more serious level of buyer. And
Right.
also, those documents, it seems that the incubation period is what, 12 to 14 days? You know, with the way people sue in our society, how can they identify the exact home that we showed them as the source of their getting this illness? That's why these documents are so important. It is to protect them and us and the potential people out there who can get this illness, but it's an important document. And I think if they're not willing to sign it, they're probably not that serious of a buyer.
Hmm.
I just shared on both platforms the link to CAR where all the forms are, the most recent changes, by the way. So, but they're all in your zip forms, by the way, as well. Just make sure that when you click on a zip form, you have the most recent document. Here's another
You know
question.
what, Meny?
Go ahead. Yeah.
The good news, Meny, is when you go into zip forms, it only allows the most recent one available.
Right.
Perfect. Perfect. Another question for you guys. Great question. Thank you, Holly. Do you use any official an official buyer consultation? And if so, did you change it since COVID started? Buyer consultation, buyer presentation of some kind, or just do you?
I haven't. But that's one of the things that I found, and just like Santiago was saying, is that when we do have them sign this document, I'm seeing that the relationship is deepening because of having this COVID document as well as this hold harmless. And so I'm seeing that those buyers that I'm working with, that they are coming to me with, other properties, for instance, because we have this document in place. So I could see why having, maybe even a buyer's agreement signed, why that's helpful. Because if this is how I'm seeing a commitment with the COVID, that PED form, and the hold harmless, I can see definitely the advantage of using a buyer's agreement. One of the other things that I want to say is that I think I've been evolving during this time frame, because I have been busy and I'm trying to figure out how to utilize my time better. Because working with buyers can be very, very tiring, and so you need to be able to conserve where you can. And so I'm trying to develop more systems, as it were, with how do I work with buyers, and especially during this time, instead of showing how many properties did we show before COVID, right? Now I'm having them okay, let's kind of like Jerry Maguire, show me the money. There's a lot more that more questions, and I'm getting better at my questions. So as a newer agent, I think that part is really exciting for me to see my own growth, since I haven't been in the business as long as Santiago and probably Nidya, but it's definitely changed the way that I'm doing business. I'm being a lot smarter, I think.
Well said. Yeah, and go ahead, Santiago.
I was going to agree. The one thing that I picked up on, and this is during the shutdown, is I won't show a property now, not just when they're pre-qualified, but they have to be verified pre-qualified. In other words, that loan officer has to see the W-2s, the tax returns, and the bank statements showing that they can do the down payment and closing costs, or I'm not showing property now. And that's demanded by a lot of listing agents, and I demanded it on my property in San Pedro, and every single showing agent complied. So it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Santiago, because we're taking a risk when we're going out there and we're saying, hey, this is an essential part of businesses trying to help a person obtain the home of their dream or selling the property for a client, right? And so we want to make sure that we're connecting those parties, the buyer and the seller, with someone who's able to perform. And so that's like one client, she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy the house cash, 1.5 million. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. I'm so excited for you to be on this journey. And,
Where is it?
Yeah, that's what I said. I was just like, well, because especially we're looking at these times and, individuals will want to see that, hey, when we have an appointment that we actually have someone who is a bona fide buyer and we want to keep you safe. So we want to make sure that everybody is safe, and so I'm vetting individuals a lot more than I was, I think, in the past. And, that is really, I feel excited. I feel excited that I am taking more steps to be professional.
Control. Control.
Yeah, control.
One more thing I want to add, and I'm not going to go into definitions because number one, we were talking here to a very diverse group of agents who are subscribed to various MLSs, Westside MLS and ChrisNet and Sierra MLS, etc. And every MLS have their own different rules.
Sure.
If you remember, we have this super exciting new policy in place. It's called Clear Corporation Policy.
Yeah.
And the Clear policy tells basically you cannot market any, coming soon packets off market or whatever to the public. And if you did it, then you have one business day to put it on the MLS. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go there. Now, what doesn't consider to be public is different agents in your own brokerage, right?
Correct.
In your own group. And number two is people that you have past relationship with. And part of this, and once again, that's why I don't want to go there too deep. Don't ask me questions about it right now. We have class this coming Thursday at 3 p.m. with Rich Pisani about the ChrisNet. That's the San Fernando Valley areas, whatever. Yeah. And on Friday morning at 11 a.m. the Sierra MLS. Go to our live calendar and check it out. You have to sign up and just you can understand more. But my point is, if you have signed agreement with someone and you have that relationship, that might help you to share information that otherwise you won't be able to, right? And then one more note I want to share over here, that Kendra Miller says, since jumbo loan requirements are changing so much, she will only allow showings on her listing or showings for buyers who have super strong or current 1 week or less pre-approval letters. Okay, so very smart note that you sometimes, hey, send me your pre-approval. Okay, here's one, whatever, right? Make sure, and by the way, there's a difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. Because any lender can call right now, your lender say like, hey, can you send me like pre-approval to Joe Schmo for whatever? They're going to type it and going to send it to you.
No.
So make sure it's legit. Otherwise, you're going to go into, adventure. Thanks for the note.
They have to say they've seen the tax returns, they've seen the bank accounts. If it doesn't say they've seen it, it's no good.
Right. And the other thing is, I don't even submit an offer without seeing all of the, that I see proof of funds, and I want to see the proof of funds not just for your deposit, but for the closing as well.
Closing costs.
Down payment, all of that. And so I do not even submit an offer without having all of those documents in place and, having a conversation with the lender. So I want to know what did they do to qualify the individual if it's not a lender that I normally work with, if they're bringing their own, for instance. So those are, we have to do our part, especially as a buyer's agent, especially it's our reputation that's on the line. And I want people, when I'm doing, business, that they know, hey, when Claudia brings somebody, that person is going to be qualified, right? So.
Well, right. That's wasting our time.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a note, Denise was asking about showings. So currently, that's also the most recent PAD was revised. They didn't change that rule. You can show to only 2 people at one time, and 2 people aside of the agent. So you're the third person, right? And 2 people is husband and wife, 2 people. 2 whatever, 2 separate people, whatever it is, but it's only to 2 at the same time. That didn't change.
Mm-hmm. And they have to be in the same household too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I do with that is I do wear gloves, and I bring the disinfectant wipes and a mask, of course. And then what I do is I open the door and I tell them they can't touch anything. I'll open any doors or drawers, and then they can walk around the house. And then when they leave, I wipe anything I touch with my gloves, and then I wipe the keys off when I put them back in the super lock. So everything is sanitized when we leave.
Right.
Mark,
Right.
do you, if you have, and I'm not sure how many times you encounter that or so, but if you have someone showing up and they don't have a mask or anything, what do you do?
I have masks in my car.
I actually prep my buyers and let them know what they must bring with them in order for us to even have that appointment. And so, that's a conversation we're having ahead of time, that they know the only way they're going to see that property is if they have their mask on. And 2 of my buyers are so sweet. One brought me a box of 100 gloves, like disposable gloves, the other day. And I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. And then another one of my clients yesterday, she gave me 2 cotton pairs of gloves. And she was like, oh yeah, those other ones get so sweaty. You can wash these. And so it was like super sweet. One of the other things too that I've been doing with my buyers is a virtual tour. So yesterday I received like one of my Op-City calls, and they wanted to view a property that was vacant. And so I said, hey, what I'll do is I'll go there and take a look at the property for you. And if it's something that you really, want to see, and then we'll get the other parties involved. So I did a virtual tour with clients. So that's another thing that you can do too when you're working with buyers.
Was that virtual or live? Virtual meaning did you walk around and
live. I showed them like what the street looked like, so I walked around. I was like, this is the neighborhood, and then I got in the house and we did FaceTime, together so that they could see the property. And then I shot a video of the property so that they could show it to those who would be making a decision as well to see whether. So I'll follow up with them today and see how that works.
One point about that, by the way, just to get creative. So if you are open house is still not allowed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you can do Facebook Live,
mm-hmm.
Right?
For example. So you can even maybe just food for thoughts with the consent of the if you are working with buyers, right? And you are showing a property, maybe you can get the consent of the listing agent and say, hey, can I feature your listing? So I can show it to other buyers or whatever. Then you can do like a little either virtual video or even do a little Facebook Live like we're doing right now, and share with your group of people. That's like an idea that you can look into and just maybe broadcast that and let other people that know that you're working with buyers and it's whatever it is. What else? What else you want to share? We have a few more minutes. Nidya, go.
I don't have anything else to share.
I think one thing I want to share is remember to take care of yourself. It's so crazy. It's, I feel like at times I work a lot. Like even now, I'm working a number of hours, and I feel this kind of like obligation, even guilt, when I, don't like take a call or, answer text messages at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And so I find it was so funny yesterday. I actually was having dinner and a couple of my clients called and they had some questions. And I said, I'm going to have dinner with my daughter who cooked for me. And they were like, oh, yeah, Claudia, go ahead, have your dinner. And I was like, oh, that wasn't so hard. So it's just, and I'm sorry if that sounds mind-blowing, but it is for me because I do work a lot. And yeah, so I'm just now learning. Maybe I'm late to the party on that, but I do want to say, please take care of yourself. In
balance.
Yeah, have some balance.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, Santiago, you totally know about that. I remember you going to the gym all the time. So
I miss it.
Yeah. I miss seeing your face. Yeah.
Here virtually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, that was great. Let's end with that. I know there's we can talk about more stuff, but I really want to thank you guys for sharing that great attitude, that professionalism, and congrats all of you guys for keep closing escrows and saving deals and really have that unique, sincere, authentic care for people, for your people, and that's what makes you successful. So keep at it and stay safe. And thank you for sharing today, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks for putting it together.
Yes, thank you. Good to see you all virtually.
You too, guys.
Sending hugs your way.
Thanks. And whoever's watching us, guys, thank you so much again. Stay safe and be well.
Yeah, thank you.